Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Isaac. My wife Rebecca helped my son Jacob deceive me. With the young goat's fur and covetous hearts, they tricked me. See, Esau would have gotten the birthright if it wasn't for the sin that was in his twin. And while Jacob's spiritual eyes were filled with the greed-eyed monster of jealousy, my physical eyes were severely dimmed, which was just to their advantage, as they would head first into temptation and gave way to the likes of sin. Greetings. My name is Saul, and on the road to Damascus, God revealed himself to me as he unmasked this perfect glory that made my pupils stand in awe of the reverence of his light. And at that moment, my eyes were so shocked I saw black as he canceled out my sight. How do you do? The Bible isn't specific on my name. All my life I wanted to see, but no matter what I did, I couldn't change. I was born blind, but all I wanted to do was see. See what God's creation had to offer, but all of that was withheld from me. But one day I heard that the Savior was walking by, so I asked him to stop and take a look inside my eyes to see if I could receive vision. But all he did was take dirt, mix it with his saliva, rubbed it in my eyes, and made me feel like I'm a worthless blind beggar. I felt insulted. Allow me to cut in again. Remember me, Isaac? I wanted to apologize for what I said before. I was wrong. I couldn't see what God really had in store. Though Esau lost the birthright to his brother, God used Jacob to make a descended nation unlike any other. And this nation was to shine bright in a dark world. They even helped produce the Son of God himself, the living Word. Allow me to cut in again. Remember me, Paul? I'd also like to apologize for what I said before. My encounter with the King of Kings changed me radically, and my sight was in fact restored. God changed my heart so much I could never be the same. I was so different, I needed to adopt a new name, and though I experienced temporary blindness, God brought me out of that darkness into his marvelous light that was so bright it changed my life and made the wrong things right. Don't forget about me. You know, the blind beggar man? I'm sorry, I didn't realize what Jesus really had in plan when he mixed the spit and the dirt in his hands. He was making a heavenly recipe for healing this world had never seen. And when he rubbed it in my eyes and had me wash it off in the pool of Shalom, my sight was clean as crystal. And then I looked at the one they called holy and realized that all of my suffering was ultimately meant for his glory. In all of these scenarios, the burden of physical blindness later bore God's glory. And in the same way, a testimony of spiritual blindness paints a picture of his story. And now some of you, God has already given sight. But when you look at him, your eyes are shut tight because you're so focused on the tangible things of this world that are only external. But I know that faith is the evidence that what is seen is temporary and what is unseen is eternal. And others won't look at God, not even a peek, because you're overwhelmed with shame. But remember that his power is made perfect when we are weak. Just let me tell you, I myself am a sinner too. I have seen darkness at its finest. From my first sin, I have inherited this blindness. But when Jesus came down to the promised land, when Jesus took the nails through his hands, when the flesh on his back had been scourged, when the veil in the temple was torn, at that moment I saw a light. And then I realized that I had sight. And this light was Jesus. And then I realized that with Jesus, the sick are made well, The lame walk, the mute talk, and the blind see. But even though this light was so bright, because of my human nature, when I looked at the will of God, my flesh-filled eyes were still dimmed. But Christ didn't stop there, no. He magnifies my eyes daily so that I can stare into my filthiest of sin. And now, I see that even though I joined in with Adam and ate from Eden's tree, because I dined at the Savior's table and ate from the bread who gives life, and life more abundantly, I am now being held by the Creator for all of eternity. I put my trust in the holes in his hands, the piercings on his head, the flesh wound on his side, and the whip marks on his back. And though there was a spiritual sense of sight that I lacked, God restored that sight so that I can see the sacrifice he brings. And now I see him, Jesus. I see my King.